Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. I am so thrilled that we have Fee DeFreitas with us, who is a herbalist, and she sees clients and helps them with their health conditions using herbal medicine and naturopathy. And she also has a monthly sleep clinic where she specializes in supporting people with different kinds of sleep issues. So thank you so much for talking to me today.
So thank you for inviting me.
Sophie, I wanted to just talk to you about your journey with herbal medicine and the philosophy behind how you practice and how you use herbal medicine. And I think it's really nice for people to understand, like, how do you even become a herbalist? Do you just wake up and think about doing it? Or what sort of led you to discovering herbal medicine? So, yeah, really lovely to have you on. And yeah, if we could start there, what made you get into herbal medicine?
Wow, it's a really big story. So it kind of feels like all roads led there. So loads of different things were going on at the time. Partly I was struggling with a health issue myself, and so I had endometriosis, and I was really looking for ways to get better, and I couldn't find anything, and my hopes had kind of been dashed, and the pharmaceutical way wasn't working for me, and that was kind of just managing symptoms and then managing the side effects of the drugs, and it was just enough. And so I was looking at all different types of alternative healing, alternative methods of getting well. And someone who had endometriosis, their partner like passed me this number on like a little slip of paper and was like, call this guy, like in a really dodgy way. It was like,
so mysterious.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did, and I contacted them, and they did really help me. They took me on like a massive journey and like listened to me in a way that I'd never been listened to before, and kind of helped me understand what was going on with me, like beyond just like, oh, you have endometriosis and this is what we're going to do to manage it. And it was like, this is why you have it, and this is how you can help yourself. And that was so powerful. I think that empowerment was huge. Yeah.
Wow. So it was really through helping yourself with herbal medicine that you realized that this could be something very powerful that perhaps needed to be explored more.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that was a part of it. I was at this kind of like just crossroads in my life, and it sounds really kind of cliche in a way, and people would say like, what do you do? You know how you meet people and they're like, oh, so what do you do? And I began dreading that question. Like, I absolutely hated that question. I start talking about how I feel about my connection with nature and how I want to help the planet and help people, and how I believe in equality, and I try and fight for that through activism and things like that. Anything to skirt around the issue of what I actually did, because it just didn't connect with my values. And so then it was kind of like, okay, I need to reassess this and start living in a way that connects with my values and doing things that I want to do every day. And so, yeah, it kind of all happened at like this kind of key time in life where I was going through this kind of like crises in a way in terms of what I was doing. I wanted like, I was doing a lot of activism at the time. And I wanted tools to be able to help people in a really practical way. And then also I was recovering from this health issue and trying to navigate my way through this, and starting to see the flaws in the way that the allopathic model helps people. And so trying to find a way through that as well. And so everything kind of converged in this one moment that was just like, okay, this is what I want to do. I need to start looking into how to do this, how to find ways to become a herbalist.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what did you do next? Like, where did you end up studying? How did you bring this into becoming a herbalist?
Yeah, so I was already playing, I guess, playing in a way with plants, with teas, and smells and essential oils and things like that, and just like the ways that people access herbs like on a general level. But I was doing it in a way that we do like Western medicine, in that it's like, I've got a headache, what's good for headaches, I'm going to take this. I've got a stomachache, what's good for stomachache, I'm going to take this. It wasn't kind of looking at that root cause or that deeper picture. And so then I just really started looking into where other people who were herbalists had studied, where I could study locally, things like that. And I came across the College of Naturopathic Medicine, and they actually have a base in Brighton where they were doing biomedicine. And so I got in touch with someone there, and we just had a brilliant chat for about an hour about herbs, about nutrition, about health, about just life in general, and how and it felt like someone who was coming from a similar place as me. They were studying at the time to be a nutritional therapist, but they had also gone through like a health crisis, and they were learning while studying how to help themselves and how to get better. And so we just had a brilliant conversation about how you can heal naturally and help yourself, and that just kind of sealed the deal.
You're like, I found people that they share this, they get this.
Exactly.
Oh, lovely. And how so were you at that point, so having started by seeing a herbalist, did you then start using herbs as you're studying them to work on your own health then, in that whilst you were studying too?
Yeah, exactly. So but actually it's more than that, because I think, like, as you'll know, we don't really touch the herbs at all until like our first or second year, end of the first year of studying. It's all about the body and nutrition and naturopathy and things like that before you even get to the herbs. And so that first year actually was really powerful in terms of learning not to just treat herbs as drugs, but learning how to put them onto a base of like a really good foundation of like natural health and nutrition and lifestyle and exercise and all of that, and how to help yourself beyond taking the medicine, so sleep and stress and things like that, and how the body works. And so that was where we were.
And I think that's a really important point about herbal medicine, in terms of the distinction between using it as a natural equivalent of drugs versus using herbal medicine holistically. And I think that's part of being a master herbalist, in the sense that there is that understanding that we need to be looking after the terrain of the body, and understanding what's going on with someone, not just physically but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and using herbs to really support them on all those levels. And it's really powerful when you're able to work with clients in that way, because the changes are so much more sustainable and long lasting and profound, really. Do you find that?
Yeah, definitely. And coming from a place where I was given like pills and sent on my way, and that was your lifetime sentence almost, I was really passionate about finding a modality where I wasn't doing the same thing. I was helping people to get better and helping them to sustain that. And so I've always got like a plan in mind when I see someone, is that, right, okay, so here's how we're going to help you, and here's how we're going to find the foundation and the basis, and then here's how the herbs will help, but then eventually here's how we'll take the herbs away. And so as part of the plan is, okay, so you're not going to see me every month at some point in the future.
So also what I really love, and and when I met you, I was very impressed by the values and the ethics behind how you wanted to be a herbalist. And you mentioned that you were probably still involved in activism. I know when I met you, you're a vegan, and very much focused on, providing accessible medicine. So, people don't have to have millions of pounds in their bank account to be able to afford to work with herbs. I was just wondering, how do you find having those really amazing sort of strong ethics and values and caring about people? How do you bring that into your practice? Do you find that herbal medicine is quite a nice way of combining what you said around your philosophy and how you practice?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many different ways that that you can do this as well. So like, it really is a people's medicine. We can teach people how to forage, or like, I had a client the other day who needed some lemon balm tea. And it's a really simple tea, but it's a plant that grows like a weed, and so they don't have to keep coming to me to buy it. They can get a little pot for £1 and put it in their garden or in a pot on their windowsill and keep taking tea from that every day. And yeah, it's finding ways like that where people can access the herbs in the areas around them, and teaching them how to help themselves from what they've got in their kitchen and things like that. Yeah, definitely. It's something I think it's something that can be like really accessible, but also on the other hand, not at all. And so what I'm trying to do is break down some barriers with like financial accessibility, but also with like language and how we speak to people and what we use. We've got this like fear in the herbal community, I think, a bit, of saying, right, we can support diabetes, or we can support high blood pressure and things like that. And so there's a lot of people out there that don't actually know that we can help them. And I think that's one of the things that I'm trying to break down as well. So like, just going back to thinking about endometriosis and my journey, and I think I was in this class with you actually, and there was a woman sat at the front, and she said, we were doing like some case studies, and she said, I've had endometriosis twice and recovered. And at that time I was on a journey and I was getting better, but I had no idea that you could recover. I was there studying, thinking like, I'm going to help people with this, but I still had that doubt in my mind, with everything that had happened before, that like, I was like, she must have had something else. How did she recover twice? How does this happen? And so it's kind of, yeah, it's like that. It's and that's me in a room with people training to be herbalists or nutritional therapists, and still not having that understanding that you could recover. And so people out there in the general public, I think part of my dream is to make healing more accessible, and part of that is to break down some of that language and some of that knowledge about what it is that we can actually do. Yeah,
I totally agree. I think that's so important, because it's very hard to convey the power of working with herbal medicine, and obviously there are ways that we want to talk to people about it, but without we probably are in this position where it's all about education and giving people these options, because if they don't know, how can they decide to take that decision? Like, you wouldn't have naturally thought, I have endometriosis, I'm going to see a herbalist, until that person passed you the card. And it's really breaking down the barriers so that people have the choice to basically find a herbalist. And it's not necessarily about I think people can get a bit put off if some people make bold claims, say, going to cure this, like, it's not about that. It's about just people understanding that there are other ways, there are other options, and something like herbal medicine, which we've been using since, you know, the beginning of time as humanity. This is something that is very accessible, and I love that you acting as not just sort of a healer, but also that sort of educator, teacher, and sharing with people how they can grow these herbs at home, how they can forage for them, because it's such an interesting paradigm, the herbal medicine thing, because as you said, you can grow it, you can find it, it's free. We can all access it at the same time as it being this sort of strange thing. I really love that. And so you, as you said, sort of this is one of your missions in life, making it more accessible and sharing the words of the plants.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So as part of that, I've teamed up with someone that I studied with as well, and so we've got a project called Rooted, and what we're trying to do is it kind of came off the back of the first lockdown and the Black Lives Matter movement, and how there was some real spotlight shone on health inequality, and particularly around women, Black women and brown women, and their access to diagnosis and their access to medicine and how they're treated in the healthcare system. And so as part of that project to make healing more accessible, we are delivering the series of like talks and workshops and courses empower women to help learn herbal medicine and bring it back into the home and treat their family. Yeah.
Amazing. So we'll have to have you on to talk more about that.
That'd be lovely. Yeah,
definitely, because this is so needed and so powerful. So I'm so excited to hear more about that. And so just in terms of how you work now, so you practice in Brighton and online. So if people want to learn more, like how can they find you? How can they get in touch and start working with you?
Absolutely. On my website, they can book in and have a discovery call, and we'll chat for about like 15-20 minutes about how we can work together, what they need, how I could help. And then from that, we can book on and have an initial consultation and come up with a plan, so to speak. And I think the initial consultation is really really important in terms of there's so many herbs out there that can do different things. Like there's herbs, and I think it's really, sorry, let me start again. I think that it's really important in terms of finding the right herb for the right person. And I suppose that's what really sets aside us as master herbalists in a way, is that we have this long consultation. And like you say, we're not just treating a headache or a symptom, we're looking at the whole person. And so actually what I like to do in my approach to working with people is almost different to removing the disease. So I'm not trying to fight what's going on with them and what's troubling them. Instead, I'm trying to move them up on like this continuum of health. So if we've got health up here and disease down here, which is manifesting in all sorts of symptoms, we're trying to move them up this continuum so that they stop experiencing these symptoms instead of like just trying to attack the headache at the root cause. One of the things that I found from my journey with endometriosis is I had surgery at one point, and I thought, right, I've had the surgery, everything's going to be better now. But of course, I hadn't changed anything. I was still living the same way that created the endometriosis in the first place. So removing the endometriosis wasn't going to stop my problem. It was just going to grow back. And I think that's part of that continuum of like moving people towards health, means that we stop experiencing those symptoms and we stop creating the environment for them to thrive in. Yeah,
totally. It's that classic sort of analogy of turning off the tap or clearing up the water that's been overflowing because the tap's been flooding the bathroom. So if you just mop out the water, the tap's still running. So we need to get to the root cause of what's happening in that, and then we can really start to understand true health, I guess. And I love that way, sort of moving up to start helping your clients experience health in a different way to perhaps we've been taught to think about it, because we do think, okay, drugs, surgery, etc., these are the solutions, but we still end up in the same place often if we're not making those changes. That's really powerful. And what is your website? Tell us how people can get hold of you?
Yeah, sure. It's mindbodyherbs.co.uk. I was going to use my name, but people can't spell it. So, so we're there on Mind Body Herbs, and I'm .co.uk on websites, or on Instagram or Facebook is exactly the same.
Brilliant. And we'll put a link in that below in the comments. So that's Mind Body Herbs. So people can book free chat with you, and then you can decide how you can work. And I love as well when you're talking about finding the herb for the person, because it's an individual treatment, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see like 3 people presenting with really similar symptoms, but actually they're all doing it for a different reason and slightly different. And so like I run a monthly sleep clinic, and so everyone that comes to me is struggling with sleep, but I've never given the same prescription. And so it's always tailored for the individual. Absolutely.
And that's when you know we're really doing the job, and not just giving a bulk prescription, which is sort of probably more in that medical model that people do. So that's really so lovely to talk to you. And I'm just thinking we're gonna have to talk about your amazing project, Rooted. Want to know more about sleep and perhaps endometriosis as well. So there's lots of follow-up questions I have for you, but I think it's really lovely introduction about herbal medicine for people. So thank you so much for joining. And and that's do you have any final words?
No, it's great to chat to you. Thank you for having a chat.
Great stuff. So if you want to find Fee, it's mindbodyherbs.co.uk.